Hello, future millionaires and billionaires. Welcome to the insightful video on my YouTube channel. On today's video, guys, I'm sharing my 5 mistakes I made when I started investing in the Johannesburg stock market. And guys, you know me, I'm not about to give you guys problems. I'm also gonna give you guys the solution which I use in order to ensure that I grow myself and outperform those mistakes. So it's all about giving you guys problems and solution to those problems, because here we're all about growing each other as retail investors, as DIY stock investors. So if you're interested in today's video, please do ensure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and please guys, please do ensure to turn on notification bell so you can get notified with every new video I drop. Without wasting any time, guys, let's get into it. Hello, future millionaires and billionaires. Welcome to the insightful and informative video right here on my YouTube channel. If you're new to my channel, my name is Ivan Samba. On my YouTube channel, I'm dedicated on simplifying the world of investing, budgeting, and saving for the average South African, the average Ivan trying to save and invest for himself with that little money he or she may have. So in today's video, I'm talking about the 5 mistakes, as the title suggests, that I learned when starting investing in the Johannesburg stock market, and how I overcame those particular mistakes. And guys, please do remember, I'm not a financially registered advisor. None of my video constitute as financial advice, but only for educational purposes. So let's get right into it. The first mistake I made when investing in the Johannesburg stock market. The first one, guys, was not to understand my risk tolerance, to not understand the amount of risk I can take in the stock market. Because when you invest, guys, you need to understand what type of investor are you. I did not know that when I started investing. I just invested for the sake of investing. I bought whatever I saw was popular, whatever people were talking about on Twitter or on Facebook or whatever the case may be. I just bought it without understanding my risk tolerance. This was bad because, number one, if I invested, but I did this, I invested in some companies which were above my risk tolerance and some were below my risk tolerance. Those companies which were below my risk tolerance were too boring for me. Those who were above it was too stressful, but those companies will go up and down every single day. That will give me anxiety, that I'll end up selling them at a loss, and I'll end up incurring a lot of costs because I'll be selling and buying every single time, but I didn't understand my risk tolerance. And the one thing I did in order to ensure that I fix that mistake is that I went to Google, I searched risk profile assessment, and I got a questionnaire on Google. I don't remember the website, but if I do remember it, I'll put it in the description of this video. But I got a link on that website. I clicked it. I got a questionnaire. I answered questionnaire. It told me the type of investor that I was, and even gave me my risk profile, and it was on the dot, guys. I'm not lying. It was on the dot. It told me I was a moderate to aggressive investors and what type of companies I'm supposed to invest. And literally, I took that literally, like the way what it told me, I took it literally and invested based on it. And I understand that, okay, I am a moderate to aggressive investors. I'm a blue chip company type of guy, while also loving penny stocks and loving the underdogs a little bit. So I understood the type of profile that I had, and I started investing based on that companies, based on that profile, sorry. And I saw that it became easy. Investment became easy for me because I understood the type of companies I could invest into, the type of company that are falling within my risk tolerance, and I was able to invest in that. And literally, guys, since then, I have never sold or bought a company without understanding if it falls within my risk tolerance and my risk profile. If it does not, I don't buy it, but I don't need that stress in my life. The second mistake that I made when I started investing was that I invested based on graphs. Literally, guys, I will go to Easy Equity, I will look at the graph, and I'll say, okay, in the past 5 years was performing like this, the past 6 years was performing like this, and I invested based on just a graph that I saw on Easy Equity showing the performance of this company in the past year, in the past 5 years, in the past 6 months, in the past 1 month. I was investing based on that. I did not do my research. I did not invest based on the performance of the actual company, the actual operation of the company. What does the company stand for? What does the company aim to achieve in the future? Who are the leadership of this company? I did not invest based on that. I only invested based on graph that shows the shares performance of that company. And the only way that I dealt with that was starting to do my research. I did not invest in a company that I didn't understand what operation was it in, what does the plan the company have, what's their debt to income ratio, what, like, literally guys, I spent so much time researching on those companies that I understand what they were doing. So I stopped investing into the share price and I started investing in the actual company and what the company was aiming to achieve. That was the first mistake I made, which is to invest based on the graphs, investing based on what the share price was in 2014, what the share price is now. No, that is important, but I also now started investing based on the actual business. What are the leadership? Who's in charge? Who's the CEO? What's the mission? What's the vision? Does the CEO, when he speaks to the media, speak with confidence? Does the operation of the company in the next 5 years in line with I want to see myself in the next 5 years? Those type of things, I took them into account and I was able to invest without any worries because I did my research. I did my end of the bargain basically, and that's how I overcome that mistake of investing based on graphs. The third mistake I did, especially when it comes to exchange traded funds, which I'll put a video about them here, but I did a video about exchange traded funds before, was that I invested into the same exchange traded funds, but for two different companies. I've made a lot of those mistakes when I started investing. Basically, I'll buy an ETF from one invest that invests in the top 40 companies in the JSE, and I'll take one from Centric that invests in the top 40 companies in the JSE. Those two ETFs, as much as they belong to two different companies, they do one and the same things. So that was the first mistake that I had to do, that I did, sorry, not have to do, but that was the first mistake that I did when starting to invest in the JSE. I had to overcome that by understanding that as much as they may belong to two different companies, they are not the same thing, and fees come into play when you find an ETF that does the same thing that comes from two different companies. That fees also come into play, and it become a factor, a huge factor that you must take into account. So do not invest in the same ETF just because it belongs to two different companies. If it says S&P 500 and the other one says S&P 500, but this one says one investor, the other one says Centric, guys, it's one and the same thing. It's just one and the same thing. Just belongs to two different companies, but the same ETF. The last mistake I made when investing in the Johannesburg stock market, guys, was that I invested into pump stock, into stock that people were hyping up online, and I made a loss. That, guys, remember that people, when they start pumping up stock online, making them trend, talking about them, it is late for you to invest into them. Those people bought before they started tweeting. Because not someone can tweet about something and go to buy it. No, they first buy it, then come and tweet about it. So I stopped buying stock that everyone was talking about online. I started doing my own research, and I started looking into stocks that fits within my risk profile, that fits within my aims, that fits within what I plan to be in the next 5 years. Not stocks that people are just talking about on Twitter, or stocks people are talking about on Facebook, whatever the case may be. So that's the one thing I stopped doing. I stopped buying stocks that people were talking about online, or stock pickers on TV, or whatever the case may be, were recommending. I bought stocks that were in line with me. I did my own research and I checked if they fit within my risk profile. So guys, those were the 5 mistakes I made when starting to invest in the Johannesburg stock market. I hope it will be helpful, and those lessons that I learned from them will also help you guys to improve your investment style, improve you guys when you are trying to ensure that you bet the market, become the financially free individual that you aim to be. But as always, guys, I am Ivan Sambo, your student investor. Thank you so much for watching.